Never heard that before.
Shut up, loser. Here.
That's more like
No!
How's that?
Okay.
There we
Cover
go.
your face.
It's not cover my face.
It really is.
There.
Perf.
There.
I love how we position our fake mics.
Yeah. It's Prop City. Listen.
Our props now.
You got to look good. You
So
got to
it can
look
sound
official.
good because we have guests. With us, it usually wasn't a problem. But with our guests, they would be doing like this and not here. So if you put these on, it works better.
Yeah.
It just does. We have two big topics to talk about. Which one would you ladies like to start
Well,
with first?
let's start with I was picking out my outfit for today. And
You've changed clothes like 4 times.
I did.
So did I.
Okay.
4
Yes, you
different
did.
changes.
Yeah, we had some outfit changes. Still no makeup or hair, which is complete bullshit. But
I
we'll
had to
leave
do
that for
my
another day.
own.
Yeah, you can tell I did mine.
And I feel like I should get paid during that time for having to do
Yeah,
my
me too.
own.
We'll see how that fares. But hello, Mr. Adam.
I'm going to have a makeup artist come in. That's in the budget.
Puff, puff, puff. Anyway,
Yes, I'm
okay, so
sure.
I was picking out my outfit today, and normally when we're talking QHS, I'm going to wear some QHS swag. I'm
Yeah.
going to wear something to promote QHS. However, today when I was picking it out, I was like, I'm not real proud of QHS and the decisions made.
Yeah, it's a sad day to be an alum for most people.
Yes. That being said, and we'll get into the meat and potatoes of the conversation here in just a second, I feel like I probably need more information, as we always talk about, before I make a snap judgment.
That's why I'm here.
Right? You're so logical and you're so informative. You are.
I
Okay.
sat through that effing 4-hour meeting the
All
other
right,
night, and
okay,
I've
all
been
right,
doing
all right,
legwork
all right.
on
Can't
this.
wait to
Chuck
hear
and I have
this.
been talking about
All
this.
right, so we're talking about the softball coach, Mr. Daryl
Daryl
Hentz.
Hentz. Yes.
And the decision to let him go based on a comment that he decided to put out on social media about a certain situation with the lights on the field for softball, right?
Yes, and
Okay.
baseball actually, but both.
Both. Give me what started all of this, if we can. I'm sure everybody knows, but maybe some people aren't following and
They knew they needed new lights. They were getting around to getting them.
For
they
how long?
Thought they had some. They need them for years.
okay.
And
They
there was a proposal years ago,
Yes.
right?
Okay.
Yes. The poles were 40 years old. That facility's been in place for about 40 years, and quite frankly, the school district has done very minimal upgrades to it.
Okay.
But then this fall, they noticed, one of the businesses across the street, Doors and More, called over there one day, and we had one of those really bad winds last year, and said, hey, do you know one of your light poles is bending really badly? So they looked at it, and then they had to have them inspected. They had an independent company come in and inspect them, and like, hey, these are pretty unsafe.
They're not
Can't do
safe.
this. So they're like, okay, we need to replace these. We need to replace these poles. And then they were trying to get some life safety grant money. They couldn't get it in time because of the timing, and you can't run big trucks out in order to replace these poles in the ground because you don't want to tear up all the ground and stuff. They decided they had to wait until spring to tell basically after the season when the ground would be, hard, so they could redo everything, which meant there were going to be no lights at the football or at the baseball and softball fields this year.
Okay.
Just real
And-
quick to clarify, though, but they did see this coming?
Yeah.
It's not a surprise.
But they saw it coming. They knew it was on the schedule. They knew they had to do it, but the wind and the pole
This year.
them have to
What made
speed them up.
What made them say no to the proposal years ago?
Just the time, money, trying to get the money, trying to get everything in place.
So we didn't have money? Do we not have money?
They can always try to go get money, but you're talking about a $500,000 project.
Yeah.
Here.
What does the journal look like as far as their dollars in, dollars out for, they don't have any kind of money set aside for these types of things?
No.
Okay.
No. They do. Sure they have money, but they're not going to spend it on whatever unless they have to, which I would think
That's
this
the
would
key
not
point.
I would think
spend it
there would be a
on-
That's a
have
key
to.
point.
Yes,
Okay.
they could. Yes, sure, they could bond. They could go to the bank, take
Okay.
out a loan. They could bond. They could have done all this, but the school board's not going to do that.
If the lights broke on the football field?
Well, they did actually, and they had to fix that, and they got that done. But that was a couple years ago.
Huh.
Well, and I think this begs the question. If you knew about it and you didn't do it, it's not a priority for you. That is kind of that's a factual statement, right? If you knew about it and you didn't do it, it's not a priority.
So was his online statement that he made factual or not?
I believe so.
Like,
The school district tried to contest it, but I
it's
mean,
not-
he was told one thing and something was going to get done. It didn't get done. So in his eyes, yes, I believe.
it's not defamation.
No, it's not
if
defamation
it's
at
not-
all. There's nothing.
it's
There's nothing.
true.
No, there was nothing defamatory about it. Nothing.
But isn't part of the reason why he was terminated is because he breached his contract, and part of the breaching
Violated the code of conduct.
Okay, well, isn't part of the code of conduct saying I will not speak ill about my employer online?
Pretty much something along those lines.
So is it speaking ill if the statement was true?
I don't think so.
I think when you have a public school or any public organization to tell people they can't speak their mind is kind of anti-public. Isn't it kind of like anti?
Yeah.
It's
ridiculous.
It's kind of strange
The whole thing's
to make
ridiculous.
people sign something
Yeah.
that. So we're the taxpayers paying this, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if one of those said taxpayers has a problem with something, so if I go out and say something defamatory, let's say I'm a PTO member, PTA, whatever you call it now.
Parent teacher
Okay?
organization, parent teacher
whatever you call it.
association, sure.
Okay. I guess I don't really see, yes, as an employee working for an employer, but this is a different scenario because you're not an employee working for an employer. You're an employee working for our city. I
our
think
community.
School district. The
For a
community.
district.
Yes,
But
yes,
isn't
yes.
the school district our community?
that's what I'm saying.
Sure.
So you're not necessarily speaking out against an organization. You're speaking out to promote something for your community.
He was supporting his program. He was
Right.
supporting his team.
Yeah.
Is
I guess I'm just
QHS
lost
a
on
business?
Everything's
is,
a
is
business.
the
No, it's
public
not a bus-
school
no.
system
No.
a business?
No.
Because I can understand when you breach your contract for a business, you sign something with the business. I understand it is technically
If I'm going
a
out and
business.
talking shit about Muddy River News, fire my ass.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but we're
If
a
I'm
private
going-
company.
If I'm going
They're
out
not
and
a
talking
private
shit about,
company.
right?
They're
And
not a
you're
private
funded by
company.
taxpayers, and
Yes, they're not a private company.
I just
Don't act
don't
like you are.
see.
I do
how
want to
this is
say,
fair.
I don't know how this fares in the code of conduct. Like, I don't want to insert my opinion too much
Do
into
it.
this. No, because what if, my spouse works for QPS.
Yeah.
So if I am to have said something out loud about my disappointment
Are you worried?
Yeah, I mean, kind
you should
of.
be.
Like, it's like anytime I get mad about something in regards to the schools with my own daughter,
Uh huh.
I, you
Sets
know,
a very bad precedence.
yeah, it's like I want to say, hey, this happened to me today, but
It's almost like
you know what? I might
utopian.
not be able to say that on Facebook because that might get my husband canned.
But I'm in the same boat you are.
yeah.
But I'm like,
It's
this
almost
is-
utopian.
I run this show. This is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna talk about it, and Ellen supports that. She's
also St. Ellen.
She also gets cringy, and she's
Yeah.
also like, kind of remember, speak softly. But last night was so ridiculous. Covering that meeting Wednesday night was so ridiculous, and I lost a lot of respect for people who I had a lot of respect for.
I was not there, so tell me a
Give
little
us
bit about
the skinny,
it.
man.
Yeah.
Well,
What's the tea?
you had all these young ladies show up there, and
The softball
the
players.
softball team.
Prayer.
Yeah.
That is
That's telling. Okay,
Yeah.
that is
Yeah,
that
it was-
is at the heart of this thing. When you have a group of ladies, young women, sitting around praying for a certain outcome for their coach, whew, man.
They're lucky they didn't get thrown out of the building because
That's
you're not supposed to
yes.
pray in public school.
Ooh,
oh.
I
I'm
guess we
kidding.
won't
I'm
go
kidding.
there.
I'm kidding.
What
We won't
about
go there.
no, but this decision was kind of made before.
Oh yeah,
last
he was
night?
given if you read the story, and I know you both
I
did because it's your
did.
jobs. You see the.
I'm just saying this for the viewer.
I did. Are you looking at me for a certain reason? I did look.
I do look
I'm
at you
very
for a certain
invested in
reason.
it. I'm very invested.
This story,
in it.
I figured
very,
you were.
very invested.
But the letter that Daryl Hentz received from Lisa Otten and from the administration spelled everything out. And basically, yeah, he's like, look, we're recommending that you get fired at this board meeting, and that's what they did.
Okay, so he wasn't officially fired until
He was
the
officially
board.
fired last night Wednesday night at the board meeting.
Because
Yes.
one thing that I was thinking of when I read this story, that I read not only about the prayer, but that they had 4 young women go into the
To
executive
speak, yeah.
executive
Session, closed session, whatever you want to
closed
call
session
it. Sure.
to speak, and it was on behalf of their coach and their reasoning why. When I read that, and I had already known that he had his letters of termination, I thought to myself, what is the point in bringing these 4 young women in there, other than to create the illusion
But they hadn't-
that you were going to?
They hadn't
You just said that
voted
they did.
yet.
They knew.
But still, it was the board. The board had the final decision. The recommendation of the administration was terminate him. It's still the board's decision. There were 6 board members there last night. Jim Whitfield wasn't there. If you'd have gotten 4 board members to say, we're not doing this, he wouldn't be fired. And there was no reason that they
who were
couldn't
the
have.
board- So how many board members were there?
6. And it was a unanimous decision to cut him loose. Now, I also talked to a couple of people. I talked to someone who had talked to a board member, and one of the board members really, really, really wanted to vote no, but they're like, they said we should all do this
Coercion.
together.
Coercion.
And, it's like, and remember when Roy Webb took the Hannibal job for 10 seconds?
Yep.
And said, and then he backed out saying, oh, I don't like the fact that you have split board decisions. It's like, that's democracy. Boards, back when
called
Bud
a
Niekamp
balance.
and Tom Dickerson and these people were on the school board, and there were arguments and discussions. That was good. Even though it made some people uncomfortable, it's good that there's
If all
debate.
you have is a bunch of yes men, you're not doing us any good.
Yeah, and that's really what this board has become.
Yeah.
And for them to do
that.
this, when I went and tried to ask questions, and again, it's a personnel matter. They're not going to say anything. Mary Griffith and I went
But don't
up
we
after
have
the meeting
say in
to
that as
Mary.
well?
No, it's the ballot.
Personnel is paid by us.
No.
Why do we not get? Why aren't we privy to that information? And
Well,
who decided
if you
that?
it's a state law. I mean, it's personnel, it's
bullshit.
employee code. Now, any information that Daryl Hentz gets from them, he can share, like he shared the letter with us. So anything that deals with him, they would produce to him, and we could do this. So, supposedly, so at some point we will be able to get I'm hoping we can get because they have to record the closed session. And at some point, they
Yeah.
have to review it and all the minutes and stuff. And that's something that I would like to see exactly what did happen and what these ladies said. And I'm sure I'm sure because one of the ladies who went back to speak was one of the ones I quoted in the story. And again, just to see those ladies cry and just so upset. But they were given a chance.
I feel like this is an illusion and gaslighting because it's not a chance.
No.
You already had your decision made.
But at the meeting, they have a public comment section, and
that
before
was messed up.
it was very messed up. Before they decide, before they
Even
had the
brought
public
it up.
comment section, they had all this stuff. They brought up some band kids to be honored, which was great. Music kids, choir kids, a couple of athletes all got their
They did all
recognition.
kinds of awards.
Yes. And then as they're walking out, as I reviewed the video this morning, as they're walking out, Shelley Arns, the board president, said, I want to let everybody kind of settle out and get out before we do public comment. But then as they're walking out, she's like, they get out, they say, okay, does anybody want to speak? Nobody spoke. So another few seconds went by, and she's okay, fine, we're done. We move on. And all the people sitting behind us, it was the media table, Emma Dahlke, me, and the other media members, they all said, well, wait, what was that? And I said, well, that was your time to speak. We didn't know that. And because these are all people who've showed up and never been to a school board meeting before. Well, we didn't get a chance to talk. I'm like, well, technically you did, but I understand your confusion. And so they're all like, well, maybe...
Intended confusion, maybe.
And
here's
illusion.
And let's go ahead and throw this out there. Love Shelley as a person.
Yes.
Okay.
I do too.
I
She taught with Ellen for years.
really like her.
I think she's also been put in a bad position.
Very
with
impossible
this.
position. But here's the thing: you have a chance to do things right by not only your, I guess you would call them constituents, because we're all voting in that, right? So, but also the students. And when you have someone who's speaking up, now, if you have a coach that's fondling students, if you have a coach that's making poor choices on behalf of their players or the parents, yeah, maybe we should talk about this. If you have someone who's speaking up to promote their sport, their players, their team, I just don't see how you can really, even if it's in a contract, I just don't see how you can justify that. I just don't see how that's not icky.
it's also like, though, I do see the other side in the fact that you, for one, you did sign a contract.
Yeah.
And even though we're saying, I mean,
get that too.
It is still a business
I get it.
to these people. So if you let one person go, or if you let one person slide,
Okay.
then you're not setting a
interesting, though.
precedent. And yes, I know where we're going next
Uh-huh.
on this. So they decided to set, I think, a precedent with him, which I know
a
is going to leave a
slippery slope,
really bad
man.
taste in some people's mouths, considering some of the decisions made in the past.
Okay, and not just so on Facebook, and I'm just going to throw it out there because it's a touchy thing, but it does bear a little bit of weight. DUIs. Okay, I've also seen personally teachers talking shit about the decision to have school when weather is nasty. In my mind, that's kind of along the same line. The DUI
Yeah.
is a little more
Are they
personal
doing
and
that?
offline.
Are they
that-
doing the weather complaining online? Or
Yes.
Is it just, Okay. So
Yes.
then, yeah.
So then it's like, well, if you are going to, so it comes back to
Yep.
a standard level, okay? A standard, just a standard of work. If you can't talk shit online about your sports field conditions, and you can get online to talk about
Whether-
decisions made
About-
weather and whether or not we're going to have school, where's the line drawn in the
totally
sand?
right.
Because there is, I mean, so the DUI is a little different because it's his personal time. I know I'm not sticking up for it. It's conduct unbecoming either way, especially as a coach, but the dues were paid, things, whatever. But when you're talking,
The reference that she's referring to, by the way, too, is Andy Douglas, Coach
Yeah.
Andy Douglas.
Back in 2019.
He had a DUI back in 2019.
And also, and this is a key point to make though, when that happened with Andy, he showed contrition. He knew he had messed
100%.
up. He said, "Hey, and he owned it. He owned
Yes.
it." Whereas here,
This guy said-
Daryl. They tried. They and again
Gave him the
They
opportunity.
said, "Would you please?" They asked him or what? They didn't tell him. They asked him, and he just, "I'm not taking it down. I'm not backing down."
Okay.
To his credit, and he was standing his ground. So
was
that's
stuck.
one difference.
but did he, so I guess this is, when I said I need more information, this is what I need to know. Did he approach them
First.
on the sidelines to say,
Did he
like,
say this before he?
Did he
made
approach
this
them
post?
about these lights and say, I need this to happen so my team can play this
sure.
season?
That had happened back
So he
in the
did
day.
that. Did he approach the school board?
No,
he
he followed the chain of command that he's supposed to do.
He did. He went through the correct channels because that's been our
So he did all that
huge
and was
thing.
shut down.
Yeah. Well,
Okay.
I mean, they said, "Hey, we're trying to get this done for you," and they didn't get it done.
Okay. But so then I think,
I don't know.
where do you go from there? Where do you go to uphold this, to show that you're backing your team, the parents who, listen, I know that football and basketball, blood, sweat, and tears. Softball and baseball, also blood, sweat, and tears, and money. So did they not pay money to play? Do they not?
I mean, the players.
Yeah,
I'm sure they have to buy their own stuff.
It's
Sure.
the same thing as
They do
every other.
fundraisers and all that stuff. I mean, let's be
where
honest though.
were all
The
the-
marquee sports get more stuff. We
But
all know.
no,
this.
I'm saying where were the other
They were
opportunities?
trying to do fundraisers for lights. They were doing things like that. That was in the works, and they
Okay.
were trying to. And again, they applied for the grant and got shot down, and then had to reapply for the grant. So.
But if there's money in the, and so this is where
Yeah, yes.
transparency comes in.
They could, yes. Could they have just said, "We're going to bond to fix this, and we're going to have
gonna
to
do
take
it."
out a loan, and we're going to do this"? Sure, they could have.
Okay.
They didn't want to do
Why
that.
didn't they?
Who wants to borrow money if you don't really have to?
Because
Because
there
this
are
is important. If
girls
it's not
and
important,
boys,
and it's
sports.
more than
It's
just
sports. It's extracurriculars. What are we doing
It's
this
not
for?
just
Why are we
the
doing this?
sport.
What's this guy do? You got kids who can't read out there, and you're wasting money
Oh, for
doing
shit's
this.
sake, you
I'm
know what?
just telling you, that's the
that's-
line.
I get it, but what are they doing with that money instead of fixing the lights?
Yeah.
That's what I want to know.
They didn't get the money. They didn't go take out a loan to do that.
Okay, here's my thing.
But when you just said, "Well, kids can't read," that's
That's
another
different.
strawman fault.
I understand that. I'm just saying you that's what the
you
what the
can't
discussion is
say-
going to be.
you can't-
Because the school board didn't have the stones to get this done, and they didn't have the stones last night to say,
Is it the school
this
board?
is wrong. Yeah, the school board
Oh, the
has.
school
yeah,
board.
because okay, there's a fine line in school in any kind of board like this to micromanage or to manage.
Whose job is it to
And
come
it's-
to them
would
to
you-
say, we need lights? Sorry. Go ahead.
Because if you manage and you see something that's wrong, you step in. That's not micromanaging. That's seeing administrators who are not doing what needs to be done. That's when you step in. It's not
called being
micromanaging.
assertive.
That is your job as an elected official. Now, you shouldn't be going in and saying what books Mrs. Jones is going to have the 11th grade English class read. It's not anything like that.
Well,
This is
maybe.
like no.
Maybe.
No. That is no. Hell no.
Why?
Because no, you don't want school boards doing the curriculum
No,
that
actually,
way.
I don't want school.
No, you don't.
Well, who
After this.
does it?
Ask your
Who
husband
does
if
it?
he thinks that the school board should select which textbook he uses to teach his class.
I know what his answer is going to be.
And then he's right.
But so teachers get total freedom to
There is a curriculum, but it's not the
It's
school.
what I'm talking about.
It's not the school board doing that though.
Well-
it's the administration and it's the teachers who should be working together to determine what books are used in the core curriculum.
where
Where
is
did the
this
teachers get
school
to
board
put
coming
their
in?
input in with the administration? The administration.
Yeah, I feel like
hands
something's
down,
awry.
I understand that.
Something's
I get
awry.
that. I get that.
Further, we do have a lot of administration on our hands. Why, for like what we were saying before, why wasn't this brought to any of the 20 administration people that we have?
My question would
was.
be:
I
Do
mean,
we
it was.
want? Do
They
we
also had- you also-
want a softball and baseball program or not?
Well, you also
That's
have to
number one
realize you also have a brand new athletic director who got thrown in the middle of
Yeah,
this.
God bless her. I love her.
Chris
She is
Klingel.
awesome.
She's
I'm
amazing.
she really got tossed in the middle of this. You had Ryan Clare, who became the director of facilities and in charge of all this, who was putting together like this long-range plan in order to fix everything.
Okay.
So you've got these, and you've had a lot of administrative turnover in this. So they've been trying to kind of get things
Can't
going,
fix
but again,
everything at once,
you
I get
can't.
it.
But also the fact is that when the poll had the issue and went down, then it's like, okay, well now we got to try to expedite this, and they went for the grant, couldn't get the grant,
Okay.
and then had to reapply for it, and then it was too late, and then the field was wet, and
So
you can't tear up the field.
what's the
Do you think part of the problem is the administrative turnover? Like it's nonstop.
I think I'm going to give some grace here. I'm going to give a little grace. Okay. When you're proposed this problem, this issue, and you don't have money and you don't get a grant, how do you prioritize? Do we fix this and go into debt, right? If we do a bond, or do we let them go? What's the secondary plan here? They still get to play, right? Or no?
Yes, they made the arrangements. One of the things that came out of last night's meeting was they're going to play some game. Softball's going to play some games out at Avenue Lights Field at Mormon Wavering.
Okay.
And the baseball team's going to play some games at QU.
Okay.
If they start certain games early enough, they can use the fields, and if they play games at like if we play a game on West Rock Island comes up here on a Saturday afternoon, they can knock out a baseball doubleheader because they don't need the lights. Softball games are played quickly, so if you start a softball game at 4 o'clock, do the doubleheader, you should be able to get it done by the time the sun goes down. So they are trying to accommodate it that way, and that's what Chris has really had dumped in her lap. The other problem is the athletic director has to do a lot of other crap that really doesn't have to do with the athletic department, like teacher reviews and some other things like that.
What?
The athletic, yeah.
Because she has two
All the-
titles.
The athletic director should be the athletic director and should be a direct report to the superintendent. The athletic director should not report to the high school principal. That's asinine. That's the way it's been for a long time.
I thought she took on two positions, so that's why that.
But she shouldn't be, is what I'm saying.
But they had to have her do this because no one else could fill the position.
No. Nobody else wanted the job because they wouldn't take the teaching
Okay, so
element.
there you
They
go.
wouldn't
So
take
she
the
had to take
teacher
this.
review element off the job.
She had to take this because she knew what was. I don't know. I look at like you had to take this because you knew what was right. Like this was needed. I needed to do
It's
this.
either this.
Or there's nothing.
The
or
athletic,
nada.
but I mean, you're
But-
sitting there and you talk about them. I mean, why don't you have a full-time athletic
You are
director?
lucky these are fake microphones. Keep going.
You have a full-time athletic director who takes care of the athletic department, some of that should also be included, the fundraising and the working of the booster clubs, and which it should be. But if they've got to do all this other crap that they have to get stuck with at the high school level, they shouldn't be doing that. They should be focused on that one major task at hand to take care of the facilities and the things that need to be taken care of, and not give another ancillary
Is there not a
duties.
facilities?
Ryan Clare's the director of facilities. He
Okay.
does all the, and Dane Barnes had that job forever.
Okay.
Dane retired 2 years ago. I think this is Ryan's second year on the job. So Ryan's been trying to get this long-range plan. Chris has been working on a long-range facilities plan.
Okay.
But you got to remember, the QHS softball and baseball facilities have basically had nothing done to them since they were installed 40 years ago, back when David Adam was throwing left-handed slop for the Quincy High baseball team.
He was throwing heaters,
No,
I think.
no.
Heaters!
From what I understand, David never threw a heater in his life.
All right.
He was a
Meatball.
change up curveball artist.
Okay. All right.
A southpaw,
Okay.
lefty,
I get it.
southpaw. So
Okay.
fine pitcher, just he wasn't going to blow it by you. So, but you look at that, they haven't done anything in the facilities in 40 years. Whereas, we've gone through, we're on our second round of turf at Flynn. Blue Devil Gym, of course, is the palace. It is sacred ground, and then Blue Devil Gym gets anything they want. And
But they also
all
bring in more
these are
money.
donors.
yes, donors.
Okay.
And donors, when a donor says, I want to give my money to the Blue Devil locker room,
Okay,
You
but
can't-
how much of the fundraising stuff or just the budget did go to that outside of donors when we knew?
I'm not
This
sure.
this is what I think
When
we
we
need to ask
knew
more
the
of
lights
that. This
were
is why I'm saying we
shining.
need more information.
Okay, so one thing that we can do, like how do we fix this?
Standard. Just create some standards.
Yes,
Yeah.
but like right here on our table board, we can't do that.
Oh, yeah. No,
But what
I
we
don't wanna
can
be
do is
involved in that.
encourage the community to go out at the facilities outside of QHS, because those softball players, those baseball players, especially the seniors, you're getting your home field kind of taken away, that experience taken away.
Sure.
So let's bring their experience back by, showing up and showing out for them. It is like a twofold, how are we supposed to grow this program when we're
I
literally subbing it out?
GoFundMe.
A second thing, though, not GoFundMe. A second thing.
Okay.
Mr. Jimmy Patterson from the Scoreboard
Ah.
made a suggestion about how the sports team rival, they host it every year. I believe this will be
Showdown?
Yep.
Crosstown Showdown thing, yeah.
Yep. So this year he wants to amp up at the
Didn't he
getting
play
getting
baseball?
money.
He
I
did.
think so.
Yeah, baseball.
But
Guess
getting,
let's get in the game.
Baseball and
Yeah.
golf.
Yeah.
getting, raising money as a community and things like that.
Yeah.
I encourage other facilities that, find a hand in this, that like if you find this troublesome and you think like this was wrong, I mean, bitching about it isn't going to do us any
Right.
good. Let's try to make this right as a community, because like we
Show
said, QPS is not just a business, it's a community. We're all a part of it.
Yeah.
So like let's do our best to try and mend what was wrong.
Muddy River News made a small donation to the softball and baseball programs this week. So
Thanks, Bob.
took it out of your salary. So we're
Thanks,
good.
Bob.
So
I knew that was coming.
I'm
when
totally
you notice
game for
when you
that.
notice the deductions,
No pun intended.
so then you'll
Yeah,
I would
you'll know.
I would
So-
donate mine.
But I think,
whatever.
yeah, it
Good,
does.
you did.
I know.
It
I
does
already
beg
know.
the question of.
We do to both schools though. We try to be fair and equitable and all that stuff.
But I
QHA.
think, overall, I'm disappointed in the decision.
Me too.
I do know that you have to uphold contracts, but maybe your contracts need a little review, considering that you work for us. Okay, so if someone speaks out against you, it's not necessarily speaking out against you, ego. Okay, it's speaking out for the community.
Mind you,
I think.
they didn't really get the opportunity to even speak out because
didn't.
Well, just on social media,
But also they need, the board. I mean, don't be a rubber stamp. Sometime, and you're not being, again, when you disagree with your administrators, you are not a rubber stamp. You are just saying, okay, we need to step in here because we don't agree with this. And that's what needed to be done in this case, to say, look, we're going to suspend him. We're not firing him. We're suspending. We're going to give him the same suspension that the basketball coach got 5 years ago. We're going to do it that way, and we're going to move
And
on.
I think everybody who's on that board knows, I think generally they know the morals of their community. This would not align with the morals of most of the community. Am I right or am I wrong?
It is going to be tough for them, I think, to go out like they're gonna have to like kind of. I mean, good for you.
They have to justify
yeah.
it, which is
Stand by your
But here's the thing. Will
convictions.
people remember that in 2 years when it's the next school
No.
board election that people can sign up
No,
for?
they won't.
Because you've got an election coming up and the people are unopposed right
I'll
now.
make sure they
I
do.
mean, they might because they might listen to Club Muddy and then we'll bring it up again.
I'm
But-
going to definitely make sure that it sticks because this is something that if you're not going to come to Quincy with why we couldn't fix the lights, but you're going to fire a guy for sticking up for the team that is dealing with the not fixing of the lights, I think that just seems dirty.
Yeah.
It just seems kind of gross.
Well, we talked about elections that are coming up in 2 years, but we just had an election that we do need to talk about.
shoot.
We
We
are
gotta
going to
take a
talk
break.
about the next real quick.
Sorry.
I want to ask you though.
No.
It's not the end of this. Is he going to contest his?
Well,
He's got lawsuits.
we will have an interview with him and his attorney coming up that you should be able to see on Muddy River News sometime this weekend.
Stay tuned
Awesome,
for
and
that.
Ashley, you should probably watch it.
Yeah, listen, I watch everything
know.
that I'm
You're s-
very involved
You're
in.
such a liar.
No.
No.
Shut up.
Coming back with the next election.
We'll be right back.
The Liquor Booth is your home for a huge selection of beer, wine, and spirits. The Liquor Booth has 2 locations in Quincy, 3520 Broadway and 1500 North 12th Street. The Liquor Booth, where it's always happy hour.
And I think she's going to be really good. So she unseated Mike Ryan, which was very surprising, but also
You don't have a mic on.
This is what I was looking at the whole time. I'm like, is there a mic on
How about you put a mic on, sister, and we do this again?
over.
Yeah.
Yes, we will start over.
You're fine. I was like, wait a second.
Good job. Nice
Nice.
catch. Thank you.
so
She's
sorry.
like
No,
you're
touching my
fine.
leg, and I'm like, "Hey, baby," and then I'm like, "Oh, she's trying." And then she goes this. She has a little this, a little bass. Like
I'm
like,
so
you were like a
sorry. But
But then I
baseball-
thought I saw it.
You were like a baseball manager
I'm
doing
sorry.
signals. It was very
two
good.
to one, 2 to 1. Okay,
It
well
was
we can.
great.
Okay,
That
I'm
was-
so
that was
sorry.
Start it back. Start it back. Say Laura McReynolds.
Ah,
I was saying,
okay.
Do it.
no.
Do it.
We're not
Okay,
doing
we
that.
can.
Yeah,
Let's
do
just
it.
cut it before.
Just remember who the editor is, okay?
Just cut it
Not doing
right
that.
after
Ready?
what you said, which was inappropriate. But
I never
right
say anything
before where we
inappropriate.
laugh so hard because
I never say anything
it is
inappropriate.
so funny how much fun we have, and people don't necessarily always get to see it.
I don't know why you would ever think I ever say anything inappropriate.
Anyway, okay, so Bob may or may not have said something super inappropriate. I may or may not have
never
had a mic
have.
on, but here we are. Clap.
Take
And
two.
two.
First, I want to just also commend Brittany for her astute observation of it, because I was just listening and you were making wonderful points, and Brittany was like giving me like these baseball manager signals. I'm like, what are you talking about? And then I looked at your collar and I said, oh,
No mic.
and I looked at the floor. I'm like, oh, there's the mic on the floor.
I had to
But
look,
you know what?
I had to look at mine. I was like, do
You
I
know
have
what's
it on?
funny? I would love
Right?
to listen back. I bet you can still hear me clear as
Yeah,
day.
because you are loud
I'm
AF.
a loud,
She's loud
and
AF.
proud individual.
Okay.
Anyway, okay, Laura McReynolds
Laura McReynolds.
is my new alder person.
Alderman.
Alder.
It's they do alderman in Quincy.
fine.
It's alderman.
Alderman.
Yes.
Very proud of her. Congratulations. She knocked every door, including mine. I wasn't home. Luke answered the door. She was very professional, very in, and she was like, oh, yeah. Luke mentioned that I ran. She was like, oh, Ashley, oh, she acknowledged. It was kind of like okay, yeah. Then Mr. Ryan came to the door.
like how long after?
I don't even know, maybe a week or so.
Oh, so he wasn't just right behind her.
And I'm not talking shit, but I have to be honest that when Luke answered the door, he was kind of like, "Oh yeah, you're our current alder person." He was like, "That's why I said I'm rerunning." Like it was very kind of like not what you would say if you're trying to get a vote.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, maybe he knew whose house it was.
Maybe or
Maybe he knew you ran against him
Yeah.
4
or
years
maybe you
ago.
lost touch with your constituents.
Yeah.
Maybe, perhaps, that you're like, well, I've been here 25 years, maybe I can do it. Then I started thinking, wasn't he going to throw his hat in for the mayor? Well,
He was considering. He was considering it.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, he was.
So do you think he's just done? Do you think that he was like,
Yeah.
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 I think so.
Which kudos to Mike Ryan for running and representing our ward and our city for so many years. I do think
So many
though,
years.
yeah, so 25.
That
I
is-
do think that it's time, and the fact that Laura ran on term limits is not a bad thing. That's kind of been the crux of our government from local, state, and federal for a long time, that term limits need to be instated.
That
and-
says something different about what happened in the 7th Ward, though.
Yeah.
Because the 7th Ward, it was 2 Democrats running, both Jack Hochschlag and Brennan Hills. Jack Hochschlag has had that seat for,
It's in the story.
He's a Democrat?
yeah,
Yes.
they're both Democrats. But, like, I mean, he sat for more, has it been like 20?
He's not. He hasn't been serving as long as Mike Ryan. He took over for Kenny Sparrow. So that would have, it was when Spring was mayor. So it's less than 20 years. But it's been a while.
But it's been
Jack's been there a while.
quite
And
a while.
He's been a good alderman.
I'm not saying he isn't a good alderman by any means, but I'm saying is I wonder how that election would have turned out for Brennan Hills if he would have ran on the same platform that Laura McReynolds did in regards to
Term limits.
term limits.
New
Instead,
vision.
Brennan ran on a solid vision of the housing crisis.
Mm-hmm.
And I do think, you know, obviously
deal.
that
Big
it
deal.
is a big deal. But when you're in an election or
First
when
timer.
you're in any kind of position where you're trying to do a lot, you can't have tunnel vision like that.
You got to parse it out. There's kind of like a big rock, small rock type of
You
thing.
can't be a one-issue candidate. You can't be a one-trick pony. You've got to have a platform. You've got to have a myriad of issues to discuss.
Yeah.
You just can't have one, oh, I'm this. No, it doesn't work.
Yeah.
But I wonder how the change in voters show up for Laura will translate to the mayoral.
I
race.
believe, and I've talked to several people who've been doing elections around here a long time, and everybody said that Laura's decisive win over Mike Ryan had a lot to do with Mike Trope's win over Dan Brink.
Really?
They feel that, you know, I don't know that he went on her coattails or whatever. They're not saying that, but that definitely helped because they did have they had several members of the same support group.
Okay.
Mike Trope and Laura did. So,
Okay.
which then leads us to the Republican primary, in which 138 votes separated it. And even though there are 211 outstanding mail-in votes, I wrote a column that basically explained the math. That
You're going to get
Mike Trope.
What is it, like 30%?
Yeah, 83%. Danny would have to get all 211 would have to turn them in, which you're not going to get 50% of those. And of those 211, 83% would have to break for Dan Brink, and Dan Brink only took 47% beforehand. So it would be an incredibly statistic anomaly. It ain't happening.
Okay.
So it's now Trope v. Moore.
Why?
Moore.
Not Kyle Moore, Linda Moore.
No, Linda Moore.
Why do we have mail-in votes? Sorry to bring that back, but why do we even have mail-in votes in the first place?
I don't want to argue with this.
It's for people who can't get out, I guess.
Or people who don't live here
Then what,
during
if you
election.
don't live here?
You don't live here, you can't vote here.
No, like it
Well, I
is.
mean,
like
that's
if you're
pretty-
not,
No,
if you're spending,
if you decide I want to spend January and February in Florida, but I live in Quincy 10 months a year, you ought to be able to vote.
I disagree.
Oh, just no.
Oh, no. I think if you are a snowbird, is that what they call it?
Yep.
Northbird, what a snowbird? If you're here, you should be able to vote.
You said if you're here, but if
you're here.
if you're in Florida, January and February,
Nope.
Should
Enjoy
you
your
be
time in
able to
Florida.
vote?
Yeah.
Enjoy your time in Florida.
we're ganging
I
up on
do
you.
think
I don't
that
care. It's not-
if you're
it's not right.
if you're a resident of
You're paying
Adams
the ta-
County and
you're
you're paying
paying taxes.
taxes on a house, let's say you own a
When
house.
did mail-in?
Now,
When did mail-in? votes
Although
start?
no, you don't have to be a property tax owner to vote. Let's not
What?
act like we're a property owner. You don't have to be a property owner to vote.
why?
You can.
You can rent.
You can rent
if you're
to
a
vote.
renter, you can vote.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anybody that's 18 or over and is
Yeah.
a registered voter.
I just
can
got out of
vote.
college and
yeah,
I'm
okay,
a teacher at
okay,
QHS. I don't have enough money to buy a house. I'm going to rent an apartment, but I want to. That person shouldn't be able to vote.
No, I don't think that's the case, but we probably should look at. I don't know. I guess that's a thing. But so then why wouldn't people who aren't living here for 2 months out of the year be able to vote?
That's
My
check with her.
opinion is show up. show up. If you want to vote, then you have to
Be here during the voting time?
Yes, you have to show up. It's the same way as it always has been. Mail-in votes started during COVID, and ever since then.
No! Mail-in votes have been around for a long time.
Have they?
Yes!
Well, they
Seems like
just started getting popularized during COVID. And being
I always thought that if
negative.
if it was like elderly people that couldn't get there, then that was half the battle in the campaign. You get those people to those polls.
Yeah, you go out
I mean,
and
yeah,
give them a ride.
back in the day when
them a ride.
when you had the Democratic machine rolling, it was Gary Sparks and Jeff Jansen and Chuck Schultz. They'd be loading up buses at the nursing homes, dragging people to
Smart
polls.
move. Smart move.
That's what they did.
Because that is what it should be, is you show up to vote. Why? I mean, in Illinois, I guess you do not have to provide your ID to vote.
No.
You just provide your signature. I don't know. I'm just not feeling the whole mail-in vote things.
I think there's some validity there that
Are you okay with early voting?
Absolutely. If you showed up and did it, but like in regards to mail-in voting, there's just so many factors that could be fraudulent.
There's obvious loopholes and obvious factors of error, I guess, maybe is what it is.
Do we want to encourage more people to vote?
Yeah, but did it work?
Do we want to encourage more people?
Did it work?
That's not what I'm asking.
Did
I'm
it
asking
work?
You, I don't know.
Did mail-in votes give us a greater turnout?
Yeah.
Because obviously
No,
it did
not in this, because it was 13%.
This is such a
No.
bullshit thing.
No.
Okay, so then how do you... So I think this brings a better conversation to the table. How do we encourage people to vote? Obviously, they don't give a shit. And why don't they care?
Pay them.
Huh?
Pay them.
No, fuck that.
Pay them to vote?
No, but how do you...
Oh.
But how do you get people encouraged to vote? It's obvious
Have good
that...
candidates. Have people who inspire
No.
you. Have someone who's like, man, that person's
See?
getting great stuff.
See?
Yes, that's what we need.
And this is what I've heard from many people for a long time, is our vote just doesn't count. And this goes on a local, state, and national level. We just don't think that our vote counts. And obviously, I'm not hip to all the voter rules or who does what or whatever counts. I vote on how I stand, more so on character than on party, which is what we've talked about. I don't give a shit about, oh, you're a Republican. Ooh, cool.
What does that do at the local level?
Well, it creates conservatism. But do I think
conservatism where?
Financially, that's
how are you financially conserving at this local level?
Right?
We're
So,
not going to spend money on
it's
potholes.
the no caucus, okay? But also on that level, you can't determine if I say no to the Riverfront Committee or the no to the Riverfront Improvement.
Nay. I say nay.
It doesn't mean that I'm the no caucus, and it doesn't mean that I'm Republican. It means that I don't have enough information to make an informed decision.
Sure.
So what I hope for any candidate, mayoral, aldermanic, even you and I sitting here today, bring me the heat. Bring the information that can allow me to do the freaking informed decision.
Has there ever been a political candidate in your life, in either of your lives, who has made you like, wow, that guy or gal, I want to go work for that
No.
person. I want to canvass for that
Not one
person.
time.
I want to do.
Yes, but I can't go into this right now.
No.
But yes.
You're right. You can't. Now that I know who it is, I just guess.
But yes.
But I mean, for me, there were two candidates, and ironically, even though I'm either a right winger or a left winger, depending on your point of view, the first was John Danforth, who was a senator from Missouri. First, he was Secretary of State, then became a senator from Missouri, and I heard him talk when I was in high school at a thing up at Truman State. And John had this great voice, and of course Danforth owned Purina. They were wealthy as heck, but he was an Episcopalian minister. He was the real deal, a true statesman. And then honestly, and I make fun of him. Clinton. I thought Clinton was the shit. I was like, this dude came from
because he was so different.
He came and he was like me. He was a small town
He was
kid.
different, but he
came
wasn't
from
good.
He came to town from a. What do you mean he wasn't good?
You just like the fact that you could do his impression.
No! I voted for this man twice. He came from a small
played the
town like I
saxophone.
did. No, he came from a small town.
He was
wanted
different.
to do all this stuff. He wanted to reinvent government. He made
And what
you
he do?
think.
He got a blowy under a desk. That's what he got. Okay? And then he got impeached. All right?
That's
No,
not.
he didn't
what-
get impeached.
Oh, All right.
He got impeached.
He got impeached.
He just didn't get convicted and didn't get tossed
All
out.
right.
Trump was impeached twice, but
Yeah.
he wasn't tossed out. You can be impeached and not get tossed out.
But,
So-
okay, so if we want to. All right.
That's not. I mean, no.
Yeah, it is.
No, that's. I mean, I didn't vote for Gore. I thought Gore was a tool. So it didn't like trickle down anymore. So
I want to touch back on the R&D thing on the local
Okay,
level.
yeah.
because
Sorry, we
I
got off on a
saw
total tangent.
R&D on the local level.
R&D.
Not research and
Party
development. It's
politics on
Republican
the
and
local.
Democrat.
Okay.
Yeah,
Why
not
did you say
R&D.
that?
Yeah.
So you
I
have
thought
some.
research and development.
Yeah,
I'm
we're
like,
good,
what are we
we're
doing?
good.
I read through the comments. One of these was quickly deleted, but it was telling. And this is extremely why party politics do not belong in the local government.
Amen, sister.
But
They do
what
not.
it said was, in regards to anybody that's running as an independent is a Democratic in hiding. Anybody
That's
that
such-
supports an independent is a Democratic in hiding.
So ridiculous.
So ridiculous.
Fight me.
Yeah, fight me too.
ridiculous.
Fight
Like,
me.
I
Because that just means that you're supporting a party to further your agenda or to line your pockets, I think.
But so back to like saying with that, somebody wrote in response to that, like, absolutely, sir. And at least with one party, you can tell who a woman is. And then he quickly deleted it because I get what he was kind of implying.
yeah.
Yeah.
But then he realized, oh, wait. I just made this statement about a future potential woman mayor. Like, is that?
And you
He
know-
had a point. He didn't phrase it properly. I mean, let's be honest. If the Democratic Party could get over this whole issue of
transgender?
yes, they.
But the fact of the matter is that
and again,
you
there
brought transgenderism on our local community in regards to what they believe in.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
I'm laughing.
It's so unfortunate that we're pinning anything on anyone, but also it's really unfortunate that we do this on a local level. Like, okay, Linda Moore. What is she running on? Does anyone know?
I do.
Okay.
She just had a news conference talking about all of it. It was
Okay.
great.
She has meetings also once a week where she does deliver an actual
Just
plan.
town halls?
When everyone's like, "What's the plan? What's the plan?" She
Had
has
a
an
full-on
actual plan.
Okay? She had
One
a
of the-
full pages worth of plan
Yes.
on potholes.
That's the biggest thing that
Yep.
bothers me when everyone's like, "None of these people have a plan."
Yep. She got a plan.
Visit what she is saying. I know we haven't heard so much from her yet because she's kind of stood back.
Which she
Obviously,
should've.
That's a strategy.
Yeah, you
that's a
totally let the other two
strategy.
guys beat the shit out of each other,
Yep.
and then you slide in. Absolutely.
That's
What
a
did
good
I,
idea.
if I'd have been advising her campaign, I'd said the same
But
thing.
when everyone's
No
like,
doubt
I
about
want to
it.
hear what Linda's ideas are. I want to hear what, well, you have the opportunity to. You did before. You just probably weren't privy to them. But now you have the opportunity to them because she's going to be pushing them out there even
Nobody
more
wants to hear
now.
it.
But she does have plans where the biggest one is the pothole plan that
Yeah.
I'm just like,
She's
are
a
you
crazy
kidding?
cakes like freaking 3, 5, 4 mornings a week. If you want to talk to her, go there and say, hey, you're running for mayor. Let's talk. She would definitely
okay,
listen.
but also,
pothole thing, though.
I think the pothole thing, although it's kind of the squeaky wheel, is it the most important thing for Quincy?
Well, no. It's the issue du jour, though. It's the thing that fires people
it's-
up. And again,
right?
when you drive on a street and you hit that and you go, oh, yeah, it sucks.
Fine.
So I think
I get it, but there's
she
there's bigger fish
plans
to fry.
on doing that first, kind of getting it done. I think she has a pretty solid plan of something like about like all potholes filled in 100 days or something like that. Is how I listen to it. Like she's got this quadrant out.
Yeah.
To then discuss issues like what you were just saying, bigger issues, bigger than potholes.
When you when you look at what
And in regards to Mike Trope's campaign, the things that I have seen so far are promises made, promises kept. I don't know like how much of that works,
But I think
but I don't see plans.
he is pushing the fact that all of these new developments have happened under his watch, which is
It's true.
understandable.
That's true.
But it
I don't
Some
know
of
how
these,
many he
some of
can
it, yes, it
claim,
takes a
but
team,
it's
but
true.
it takes a team. But if you're the guy on the ballot, you're going to use that to take the credit, and that's a respectable campaign strategy. And again, I would appreciate more of that type of positivity. I did not appreciate
Yes.
the negative attacks and stuff on Brink. I thought that was
So that's the other thing. How
not
are
the
these
issue,
two
but-
gonna campaign? I want to see who's gonna pull the mudslinging, who's not.
well. March
Because-
11th is our first League of Women Voters debate, and I'm sure we'll cover that.
Well,
We're
I
not
meant
streaming it, but
In
somebody else
regards
is.
to the mailers, like what you were just saying with the Dan Brink thing, like specifically, I'm kind of weirded out that I didn't even get one. But I did have a lot sent to me via phone messages. Hey, what do you think about this? That mailer that we're talking about was a trope mailer saying all of his accomplishments on what he did, and then Dan Brink's accomplishments, and some of the bullet points that he put as Dan Brink's accomplishments were custodian, security guard. And the first thing that came to my mind when I thought of that was that meme that you treat the custodian the same with the same respect as you treat the CEO. And when I saw that mailer, the first thing that came to my mind was that meme, and it's like you're downplaying his
Custodial?
job, or something like that. So, and then I got the Dan Brink mailer. I actually got that one in the mail. I didn't see
Negativity.
anything negative towards. So
Well-
there is one way of campaigning, and there's one way of not.
Well,
Obviously,
and
we saw
honestly-
which one won.
Did you get any Mike Trope mailers?
Yes.
I did not.
I didn't either.
You know what though? I don't pay attention to those because I've already seen his stuff. What he says to me in a mailer doesn't necessarily
No,
seal
but
anything.
I think mailers are ridiculous. I think
I
mailers
think they're so expensive.
are a
Okay,
silly waste
here's
of
one
time.
thing that I want to talk about.
So-
and I'm sorry that I'm going to promote Linda's thing, but I've never seen anybody else do this, and maybe I'm wrong, so correct me if I'm wrong. But Linda Moore used some of her campaign dollars to create a family-friendly event at the Quincy Children's Museum, the first
When?
ever rock, paper, scissors tournament. And I've never seen any other candidate do something like that, to use their funds to actually do something community driven. And that is what I want, to
Yes.
bring Quincy back together. I don't care if she's a Democrat. I don't care if she's a Republican. What she's doing for our community, I think, is very smart. Also, she's very, very smart.
She is.
And I'm not. This
She is.
isn't a. This
And
isn't
not
an
to tote-
endorsement.
and
But I mean, again, we have. Again, I thought.
This is just a difference of.
But the
things.
other thing, real quick, not to tote the Linda boat, but still, everyone's saying independent, a Democrat disguised as an independent. Yes,
I don't give a shit.
You were.
We talk about no parties all the time.
Well, she was a registered Republican in the state of California back when she worked.
Okay, well, we don't have registered anything in Illinois because
Understood,
people have been
but you
talking.
But we're
did,
talking about no
you
party
did
politics.
in
Right.
We're talking about no
California.
party politics. So what I'm voting on is that girl held the first. That woman held the first family-oriented thing at a community-driven organization, non-for-profit,
With
to
her own
drive
campaign.
with her own campaign dollars, while everybody else is out there just
Yeah, I'm not
you
sure.
and money.
I'm not sure if that's ever happened elsewhere.
I don't think it has.
We have.
I've never seen it.
I
So I
haven't.
just thought it was really cool. And you know, the other day I had the gal on from the Children's Museum, and she was like, "Let's not. We don't want to promote that. You know, the different
Right.
parties." But I was like, "Well, I kind of think that's really cool."
Yeah.
So I'm promoting it here
Is that when
because I
Sarah
think
Meyer
it's
was
really
on?
freaking cool. Yeah.
And of course, we love the Quincy Children's Museum.
Yeah.
They do great
So,
work.
it was just a really
you
cool
should go
thing.
there anyway. You
Love
should take your
you,
kids.
Amy.
Yeah, we
And
love
I'm
you,
not.
Amy.
Yeah, love you, Amy. And I'm not. This isn't. That's not the. That's not the.
I love the grandparents too, but that's another matter. so.
Yeah.
Duh. That's not the thing that seals my vote.
Yeah.
But it definitely shows me where her priorities lie. When someone's slandering someone and the other person's like talking about things that didn't really apply to him, and she's over here doing community good. You know? There you go.
In regards to the primary, I do want to say congratulations to Mayor Mike Trope in the fact that you did win. I think that you stepped to your convictions, and those convictions being party politics. Like,
Yeah.
that's what we're campaigning on here. I don't necessarily see we don't see eye to eye on that. I don't think you and I see like party politics isn't what should get you into that position or chair, but you played the game, you played it well.
And
No, I mean, he's 3-0. I mean, like I said, I wrote in my column this week, he's had 2 close races in the primaries, and then he blew out Nora Baldner 4 years ago. And we'll see what happens this year. I think it's going to be really difficult for anybody who does not have an R behind their name to
maybe
win
the
in
game
Quincy.
is
Because
party
Donald Trump
politics.
has run 3 times here and has garnered more than 70% of the vote each
And
time.
I think he's done some good things.
And I think that you look at that, and it's if you're not a Republican, it's really hard to win here these days. Just like
We'll see.
we had 30 years of Democrat mayors in town. Now we've had a run of Republican mayors in town. And again, this stuff's all cyclical. That's like when you talk about national politics, and now the Republicans control everything, and a lot of the Democrats are like, oh, it all comes around. It
Yeah.
happens every time. Again, when Clinton won, he knocked off 12 years of Republican rule. Everybody thought after Obama, Hillary Clinton was just going to walk in, and then it's like, not so much. So it's all cyclical. It all comes around. At some point, the Democrats will figure out how they need to be more mainstream and not on all this fringy stuff, and they'll be a competitive factor again. But
I'm
that's
hoping
not
it's
where we are right
not cyclical, and in regards to what your article stated of the whole, the best 5 people come together. That would be so cool for Quincy.
Yeah.
I know that,
article?
your
you actually read
article. Isn't it my job?
now. Yes,
But,
it is.
So, back to the 5 people, and no, we would
Ranked choice voting, yes.
we would not be a pioneer city in this because
that's what Chicago
people
does.
have done this in the past.
That's how they do it in Chicago.
Why aren't we
And I know
doing
people in
this?
Quincy hate Chicago, but that's how it works. And that's how a lot of cities and a lot of places do it. If 8 people want to run, top 2 vote getters, boom, that's who you have in a final 2 months from now.
In a community like Quincy, where we are very R, in a state that is very D, due to Chicago. I mean, Chicago's all that, and then everything down south is somewhat R. In that situation, that is where local communities should make a stand and say, all right, it's not working out for us as a state.
Yeah.
So let's just focus this on our community. I understand money from Chicago, and we
Yeah,
need
funding.
the funding and this and this. But where does that funding go outside of the campaign?
Well, I want to plug my Muddy River News This Week interview because I talked to Steve Belko, who I think I really enjoy talking to. And one of the things he has been talking to and has been working on has been kind of like this whole movement, the New Illinois thing, where some Illinois counties might go to Indiana or some might go to
Emancipation.
whatever.
Yeah.
And it's a great talk. But he says, and the one thing that people don't want to hear is,
You lose the funding.
yes, Chicago, we get so much funding because of Chicago.
I think we
and
could do better without it.
And if we become Mississippi without
I
Chicago.
think we could do better without
What
it
does that
because
mean?
it would make people step up.
You ever been to Mississippi?
No, I'm asking. So
We would lose all of our federal funding. We would lose a lot of things. Our
You know what you
highway
would get?
funding. All
You know
that
what you would
stuff.
get?
Freedom.
No, a lot of
William Wallace. Freedom.
not only freedom, but a lot of neighbors who
William
who
Wallace.
step up.
Did you get that?
Okay.
Braveheart.
Yeah, a lot of neighbors who would step up to fill
No,
potholes.
no.
For
Shut
sure.
up. No,
Are you
they
kidding
wouldn't.
me?
No. Are you?
I
No.
believe it. I fully believe it. We could be. I've said this for years. We could be a pioneer city that is kind of like a co-op thing. I guarantee it.
Hey, I would.
And then we would have full control over
I
our
would-
students.
I would be on-
our
all I
field
want-
lights, our everything.
All I would like is for Missouri to annex Adams County. Then I'd be home. So then I could stay here for a bit. Then
So
go to
you
my
do agree with it?
I think I would
There
like
you go.
I would like Missouri.
I'm
I'd
still
like to be
on
in
the
Missouri.
freedom thing. I'm like, I was singing Freedom George Michael, so
I
my
was
head.
thinking William
Freedom.
Wallace. Yeah.
Freedom.
He's dead, right?
Yes.
Okay. I knew
All
one of
right.
them was dead and one of them was alive.
I
so.
always joke about the fact that my sister-in-law killed him because the night
God.
that
Oh my
the
God.
night
That's
that
not funny,
he
Brittany.
I know, but the night that he passed away, she professed his love for him.
Oh.
And then the next day we woke up and George Michaels was dead.
Oh.
I said, "Why did you do that,
Next time,
Stacey?"
keep it to yourself.
Yeah.
Faith. His song. Awesome.
Yeah.
Love
Yes.
that song. What a great song.
My-
Give
my-
what you say.
Father-
Oh no.
I like
Yeah.
father figure.
'Cause you
Yeah,
got
father
to
figure,
have
faith. Those are both great.
I gotta have
he
faith,
he
faith,
had a
faith,
Catholic vibe going on. A lot of this
Baby.
stuff. He really did. He did. Aside from his personal proclivities, in his music there was a lot of Catholic stuff.
I don't think father figure was Catholic.
It
and
wasn't.
I don't think
Faith.
was George Michael Catholic.
Yes,
because,
he was. He was.
Oh, did the the church not excommunicate him at the time in the 80s?
I have
since
no
he was,
I'm so
idea.
lost about you guys. Listen, this guy's a fantastic artist.
He was, yes. I was a fan. I
And
was absolutely a
proclivities
fan.
or not,
Yeah, I don't care.
he was
All right, so are you-
amazing.
I don't care what.
We've
again,
been just rambling on
my
for about
artists. I
25
don't
minutes
care what
now.
my
Do you just
artists and
wanna keep
athletes
going?
do. I just want to enjoy
So we
their
end on-
performances.
we
We
end
end on a
on,
good
ready?
note.
freedom.
Freedom! I'm William Wallace. I'm not that in that
You
case.
gotta
so.
have faith.
Mel Gibson. See ya.